Bulldozers are supposed to move mountains, not make headlines, but time and again, they've done both. Once a 100-ton machine starts sliding, no human can stop it. These multi-ton beasts have crushed their way into some of the most chilling stories in heavy machinery history. And we're about to explore 15 of these deadly machines, starting with the most massive of all. 1. Caterpillar D11N. Now this one's the brute king of the dirt world, the Caterpillar D11N. It's what you see chewing through mountain faces in massive mines, a 230,000-pound colossus with a 770 horsepower engine. When this machine moves, the ground shakes, literally. But that size is both its greatest strength and its biggest killer. There have been several fatal incidents involving D11Ns, mostly when the edge beneath it collapses. In 2008, an operator in a Nevada mine was killed after the D11N he was driving broke through a high wall edge and dropped over 100 feet. Rescue teams took hours to reach him because the machine was buried under its own debris. What makes the D11N so dangerous isn't poor design. It's the fact that its weight and power don't forgive human error. A new D11N in its era cost roughly $1.2 to $1.5 million. And even today, the newer D11 models command prices north of $2 million. In the wrong place, the D11N becomes an avalanche in motion. But the next machine proves that raw power doesn't mean control. 2. Komatsu D475A8. It looks like it was built to move continents, and that's not far off. This 115-ton monster pushes up to 900 horsepower, making it one of the largest production bulldozers ever built. You'll find it mostly in mining and large-scale earth-moving projects, where its massive ripper and 24-foot-wide blade can shift thousands of cubic meters of soil in a single day. But with size like that, even small terrain failures turn catastrophic. Several incidents have been reported in Asia and Australia, where D475A units slid off high benches during mine operations. The sheer momentum and weight meant recovery was impossible, and in some cases, the operators didn't survive. What makes the D475A8 especially risky is its steep learning curve. The machine's bulk creates blind spots, and the hydraulic response time can lag slightly under heavy load, meaning the dozer doesn't always react as quickly as smaller ones. Combine that with the loose spoil typical of open pit mines, and it's a perfect recipe for tip-overs and edge collapses. Komatsu priced the D475A8 around $1.5 to $1.8 million, depending on configuration. Operators often joke that once you start sliding in one, you might as well let go of the controls. The next dozer takes this same hunger for scale, but pushes it to its limits. 3. Caterpillar D7. The Caterpillar D7 doesn't look intimidating next to mining giants, but it's quietly earned a deadly reputation on icy slopes and loose embankments. Back in 2003, a 52-year-old operator in Washington state was using a D7 to clear snow on a mountain road. The ground below was frozen solid, but the ice layer beneath his tracks gave way. The dozer slid backward, tumbled down a 150-foot embankment, and crushed the poor man when it rolled. The D7 weighs roughly 25 tons and runs a 240-horsepower Cat diesel engine, strong enough to cut through dense clay and frozen soil, but light enough to lose traction when the surface turns unstable. Operators often describe it as a false sense of safety machine, powerful, reliable, but easily underestimated. Many of its fatal incidents come from overconfidence. A new D7 costs around $400,000 to $450,000, depending on attachments, and it remains a staple on job sites worldwide. Ready for something bigger? The next dozer wasn't just heavy, it was a moving mountain. 4. Komatsu D355A Killdozer. If there's one bulldozer that burned its name into history, it's the Komatsu D355A, the same beast Marvin Heemeyer turned into the infamous Killdozer. In 2004, Heemeyer, a welder and muffler shop owner from Granby, Colorado, got fed up with local zoning disputes and decided to do something nobody saw coming. He took this 85-ton mining bulldozer, welded layers of steel and concrete armor around the cabin, installed surveillance cameras so he could drive sealed inside, and then rolled out on a rampage that flattened 13 buildings, including the town hall and a hardware store. The damage was estimated at over $7 million. But strip away the armor, and the D355A is still an absolute monster. With a 525 horsepower Komatsu SA6 D155 diesel engine and a 12-foot wide blade, it's designed to rip through overburden in open-pit mines. The problem is its sheer mass, around 170,000 pounds, makes it deadly if things go wrong. It's been linked to multiple fatalities over the years, from rollovers and crushing incidents, especially during slope work and maintenance. At nearly $900,000 to $1 million new, this isn't just a dozer, it's a mountain mover. But compared to the chaos that thing caused, the next bulldozer's danger came from something far simpler. 5. Shantui SD90 C5. China's Shantui doesn't get the fame of a Caterpillar or Komatsu, but among operators, it's whispered about for being both incredible and intimidating. This is one of China's biggest bulldozers, pushing nearly 900 horsepower and weighing over 120 tons. It was designed to compete with the D11 and D475A, built for massive mining projects and coal operations. The thing is, that raw power also comes with rougher handling. It's been involved in multiple fatal rollovers and slope collapses across Asia, often in mines with poor ground stability or uneven compaction. What makes the SD90C5 so deadly isn't just its weight, it's the lack of modern safety features found on its Western counterparts. Many of these units operate without fully certified rollover protection, and in older runs, emergency exits were poorly positioned behind hydraulic lines. The cab visibility isn't great either, and the brakes have a known lag under heavy load. Combine that with high torque and low visibility, and it's easy to see how small mistakes turn fatal. The SD90C5 is priced around $950,000 to $1.1 million. And while it's a marvel of Chinese engineering, it's also a reminder that bigger and cheaper often means more dangerous. 6. Liebherr PR776. If bulldozers had a luxury class, the Liebherr PR776 would be it. It's German-built, sleek, and full of tech. A 70-ton crawler with an advanced hydrostatic drive and nearly 760 horsepower. But here's the twist. All that sophistication doesn't mean it's safe. The PR776 has been linked to multiple fatal accidents in European quarries, usually involving rollovers during edge work or slope grading. The PR776's danger lies in its balance. It's powerful and quiet, which makes operators forget just how much force they're sitting on. Its hydrostatic drive can feel smooth right up until traction gives out. And because the machine doesn't use traditional gear ratios, momentum can build faster than you realize. The visibility from the cab is limited at certain angles, especially when working near a drop-off. New, the PR776 costs around $1.2 to $1.4 million, depending on add-ons. It's an engineering marvel, but in the real world, one small miscalculation can flip it from a symbol of power to a silent coffin. Next up, this dozer shows how even smaller machines can turn deadly when overconfidence meets gravity. 7. John Deere 850C. The John Deere 850C is a smaller bulldozer compared to the mining monsters, but don't let that fool you. It's claimed plenty of lives through tip-overs and soft ground collapses. It weighs about 45,000 pounds and packs roughly 200 horsepower, which makes it a favorite for construction sites, slope cuts, and forestry work. The problem is that same mid-range size tempts operators to take it places where a heavier dozer wouldn't go: steep hills, soft clay, or narrow ledges. Back in 2000, an operator in the US was killed when his 850C pushed too far over an unstable slope while grading. The ground gave out instantly, and the dozer rolled end over end before landing upside down in a ravine. The 850C has good torque but a high center of gravity for its frame, so even a small shift in soil can send it off balance. Some operators skip adding counterweights or don't angle the blade low enough when climbing, which worsens stability. A new John Deere 850C back then ran about $250,000, but the price of cutting corners was often far higher. And speaking of corners, the next machine manufactured by India took things to a whole other level. 8. BEML BD4751. Built in India by Bharat Earth Movers Limited, the BD4751 is their crown jewel, a locally manufactured heavyweight inspired by the Komatsu D475A. It's designed for open-cast mining and weighs over 110 tons, powered by an 850 horsepower engine. On paper, it's a triumph of domestic engineering. In practice, it's one of the most dangerous bulldozers ever to operate in Indian mines. There have been several fatal collapses linked to this model, mostly due to poor site conditions or mechanical failure. Part of the risk lies in its massive footprint. The BD4751's tracks spread over soft, shifting terrain, and if the hydraulics lock or traction is lost, recovery is nearly impossible. Maintenance crews have also reported hydraulic line bursts under heat, causing loss of steering at critical moments. The BD4751 costs around $1.3 million, but given its limited export use, replacement parts are hard to find, meaning many mines still operate decades-old units with minimal upgrades. But if you think old equipment is risky, the next dozer proves that even vintage giants come with dangers. Number 9. Fiat Alice FD50. The Fiat Alice FD50 is a relic from the 1970s and 80s that still turns up on job sites today, especially in older mining and logging operations. It's a powerhouse from another era, roughly 65 tons, 520 horsepower, and built before safety cabs and modern rollover protection were common. That's part of what makes it so deadly. Many fatal incidents involved operators being thrown clear during tip-overs or crushed when the cab roof caved in. The FD50 runs on a Fiat V12 diesel and was praised for its torque, but it was notorious for unpredictable steering at low idle. Even small track misalignments could pull the machine sideways. The absence of proper seat belts and a full safety cage turned every slope into a gamble. Back when it was new, the FD50 sold for around $250,000, which was a fortune then, but most of these units were built before safety even entered the conversation. Our next pick proves how risky it can get when a dozer has zero reliability. 10. International TD25C. The International TD25C was one of those machines that could tear through anything until it couldn't stop. Built through the 1960s and 70s, this 50-ton bulldozer became infamous for its unpredictable braking system and chronic overheating issues. Many fatal fires were linked to leaking fuel lines igniting on hot engines, particularly during summer grading jobs. With about 300 horsepower and manual transmission control, the TD25C gave skilled operators a ton of muscle but demanded constant attention. If you missed a gear shift on a downhill slope, the whole thing could lurch forward faster than expected. There were reports of transmission locks failing mid-operation, leaving the dozer crawling forward on its own. It sold for about $200,000 in its day, which made it attractive to smaller companies, but many of those skipped safety to save money. Next up, this dozer leaves absolutely no room for mistakes. 11. Komatsu D375A6. The Komatsu D375A6 is one of those machines that makes even experienced operators nervous. It's a 70-ton crawler with around 610 horsepower and a reputation for being unforgiving on unstable ground. This bulldozer's massive blade can move nearly 25 cubic meters of soil at once, which sounds impressive, until that same weight shifts the wrong way. There have been several fatal quarry accidents involving this model, particularly in Japan and Australia, where operators misjudged the load angle or backed too close to a pit wall. Priced around $1.1 to $1.3 million, the D375A6 is a favorite for mine operators who want high output, but it's earned its danger label after many injuries. The cab sits high and the visibility isn't perfect, which means you're constantly relying on instinct and experience to gauge the ground beneath you. Its hydraulic system is powerful but slow to respond under heavy load, so every move feels deliberate, and if you overcorrect, you risk losing traction altogether. Even though it's equipped with modern safety tech, it still demands absolute focus, because once the D375A6 starts to move, it reminds you just how little control you really have. And while this machine is all muscle, the next one is a bulldozer that becomes a blindfolded risk. 12. Bell AZ7571TU. The Bell AZ75710 isn't technically a bulldozer. It's the world's largest mining truck, but it's earned its place on this list for one simple reason. When it goes wrong, it doesn't just break things, it buries them. Built in Belarus and designed for open-pit mining, this 450-ton colossus stands nearly 2 stories tall and can haul 496 tons of rock in a single load. Powered by two 16-cylinder diesel engines putting out a combined 4,600 horsepower, the 75710 moves entire landscapes at once. But that scale has made it one of the most dangerous pieces of heavy machinery ever put to work. Operators in Kazakhstan, Russia, and South America have reported multiple fatal mishaps involving these trucks, from brake system failures on slopes to rollovers during unloading. The problem isn't recklessness, it's physics. When you're steering something longer than a city bus that weighs 500,000 pounds, there's no such thing as a small correction. Once momentum builds, it's unstoppable. Each Bell AZ75710 costs around $6 million, but even that number doesn't capture the cost of keeping it under control. It requires 2 operators in most sites, spotters on the ground, and a full team to guide maneuvers near ledges. But the next dozer shows that power isn't always what makes dozers so deadly. 13. Caterpillar D4H Series 2. The final Caterpillar dozer on our list. Caterpillar D4H is one of those bulldozers that lulls people into thinking it's safe because of its size. It's compact compared to the mining beasts, weighs around 11 tons, and runs on about 115 horsepower. You'll see it on construction sites, roadwork zones, and logging paths. Small, nimble, and everywhere. But what makes it dangerous isn't what it does when it's moving, it's what happens when it's not. The D4H has been involved in several fatal maintenance incidents, mostly when the tracks moved unexpectedly, or when hydraulic pressure wasn't properly released before work began. In one case, a mechanic was crushed while servicing the undercarriage. The engine had been shut off, but residual hydraulic pressure caused the track to shift, pinning him instantly. The Dozer's older design lacks certain modern interlocks, meaning even a small mistake in maintenance procedure can turn deadly. A new D4H Series 2 once cost around $120,000 to $160,000, depending on attachments. It's reliable, tough, and simple, which is both a blessing and a curse. While smaller bulldozers can trick you into carelessness, the next one takes danger in the opposite direction. 14. Chetra T40. If there's one Russian bulldozer that perfectly captures the phrase power over precision, it's the Chetra T40. Built by the same Ural-based heavy machinery group that once made the Soviet military's armored vehicles, this 70-ton crawler is designed for mining and oilfield work, and it's as dangerous as it is powerful. Packing roughly 780 horsepower and weighing more than a battle tank, the T40 was meant to handle Siberia's frozen ground, but its mechanical design has always been unforgiving. Its hydraulic response is slow, the controls are heavy, and in freezing conditions, operators have reported steering delays long enough to send the machine drifting off its intended line. The biggest risk with the T40 isn't a single flaw, it's the combination of them. The brakes are purely mechanical. The cab has limited rollover protection, and visibility drops to almost nothing once the front blade is raised. Several Russian mining operations have recorded serious injuries tied to these problems, particularly when working near pit edges or frozen inclines. Originally priced around $850,000 to $900,000. This is raw Soviet steel doing what it does best, moving Earth without mercy for whoever's inside. Yet as deadly as it is, our last dozer strips away all safety just to save costs. 15. HBXG SD9. The HBXG SD9 from China might not be as famous as a Caterpillar or Komatsu, but it's earned a notorious spot on this list for one simple reason: massive power packed into a budget frame. Weighing close to 50 tons and boasting around 410 horsepower, the SD9 is built for heavy construction and mining work. It's cheap, tough, and designed to do the job of machines twice its price, usually selling for around $450,000 to $550,000. But that affordability comes at a cost: safety. Many of these bulldozers operate in developing regions where inspection standards are loose, and the machines themselves often lack certified rollover protection, modern seat restraints, or reliable hydraulic locks. There have been numerous fatal incidents tied to the SD9, mostly in small-scale mining operations where operators worked without proper training. The heavy steel blade up front adds imbalance on declines, making control a real challenge once momentum takes over. For all its strength, the SD9's biggest danger is how easily it's underestimated. It's sold as an affordable alternative to the Caterpillar D9, but with fewer safeguards, smaller visibility windows, and cheaper hydraulics. These dozers prove that power without respect always finds a way to take back control. Which of them would you still buy despite the risks? Let us know in the comments below. If you learned something new today, make sure to subscribe to my channel. See you in the next one.